At the beginning of the 10th century, in an era marked by political intrigue and incessant wars, Niccolò Machiavelli challenged the conventions of his time by writing The Prince, one of the most controversial and impactful treatises in history. In it, Machiavelli broke with the traditional view that goodness and power go hand in hand, asserting that success, whether in politics or life, often requires cunning, pragmatism, and, in some cases, a calculated dose of strategic cruelty. But what does this have to do with the good guys? Why do kind, rule-following, and trusting people often end up subjugated in competitive environments, while manipulators thrive? The answer may lie in the lessons Machiavelli left us. Although often associated with coldness and calculation, Machiavelli was above all a keen observer of human nature. He understood that even the virtuous need to know the rules of the game to survive and thrive. His work is not a manual for villainy but an invitation to strategically understand reality. In this video, we will explore 4 fundamental lessons from Machiavelli that can help the good guys transform their kindness into strength. Through timeless examples from literature, philosophical arguments, and modern insights from psychology and sociology, we will uncover how ethics and pragmatism can coexist. Prepare for a journey that will challenge your perceptions of power, morality, and resilience. Welcome to Inner Odyssey. First lesson: a deep understanding of human nature. In The Prince, Machiavelli proposed a radical yet indispensable view for thriving in a world marked by conflicting interests. Understanding the true nature of humanity is key. He did not see humans as intrinsically good or evil but as entities shaped by circumstances, interests, and needs. This perception, though uncomfortable, is essential for anyone seeking to survive and prosper in social and professional games. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, deceitful, cowardly in the face of danger, and greedy for gain." While this may seem pessimistic, Machiavelli did not suggest that people choose to be this way. Rather, he saw these behaviors as consequences of the social and political conditions of his time. For him, goodness was not an absolute virtue but a strategic tool to be used wisely and adapted to circumstances. He famously stated, "A man who wishes to profess goodness in all circumstances is bound to come to ruin among so many who are not good." This view is unsettling but offers a crucial lesson. The good must balance idealism with pragmatism. Strategic kindness. Lessons from fiction and psychology. The journey of Jean Valjean, the protagonist of Victor Hugo's Les Miserables, perfectly illustrates the balance between kindness and cunning. Valjean is a kind man, but to protect those he loves in a hostile world, he must adopt pragmatic methods. He discovers that sometimes it is necessary to choose between pure idealism and strategic adaptation to survive and do good. Modern research in neuroscience and psychology corroborates the idea that naivety can be dangerous. The theory of mind, for example, explains how understanding others' intentions is essential for navigating the world. Studies show that overly empathetic people tend to ignore signs of manipulation, making them vulnerable. Psychologist Jennifer Freed, in her studies on trust betrayals, revealed that those who trust blindly often overlook small signs of disloyalty, only realizing the risk when it is too late. This reinforces the importance of reading between the lines and acting cautiously, a central principle in Machiavellian thought. Kindness with strength, a modern necessity. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche also offers insight into kindness and beyond good and evil. He wrote, "Kindness that cannot assert itself is weakness disguised as virtue." Nietzsche compliments Machiavelli by arguing that without strength, kindness becomes passive and vulnerable. Generosity and altruism should not be abandoned but balanced with critical thinking and strategy. A contemporary example can be found in the corporate world. A professional who always helps colleagues but rarely receives support in return may end up exhausted and exploited. Machiavelli would suggest observing behavioral patterns and limiting help to those who demonstrate reciprocity. This concept is not selfishness but a way to protect one's energy and invest in the right people. Second lesson: the power of appearance. Machiavelli teaches us that perception is a powerful weapon, often more influential than reality itself. He states, "Men judge more by their eyes than by their hands, for everyone can see but few can touch." This reveals a central aspect of human nature, the inclination to trust what we see, often ignoring deeper truths. For those who value only authenticity and transparency, this idea may seem uncomfortable. However, Machiavelli does not preach falsehood but rather the understanding that the power of appearance is essential for thriving in a world where superficial judgments prevail. Psychology and the power of perception. Studies in social psychology reinforce this view. Quick impressions, formed in seconds, shape crucial decisions. Research published in Psychological Science shows that judgments of competence arise in just 100 milliseconds when looking at an unfamiliar face, affecting choices such as hiring or trusting a leader. Appearance also shapes power dynamics. Research by Harvard Business School professor Amy Cuddy reveals that expansive body postures increase perceptions of confidence and authority. Additionally, such postures trigger hormonal changes that strengthen the feeling of power. For the good guys, this means that how they present themselves can determine whether they are respected or ignored. It is not about abandoning ethical values but accepting that perception is an undeniable social force. Literature and the power of appearance. In Shakespeare's Hamlet, the power of appearance is clearly manifested. Claudius, the antagonist, constructs the image of a virtuous king while hiding the crime through which he seized the throne. His ability to manipulate perception secures his position. Meanwhile, Hamlet, with his hesitation and erratic behavior, projects weakness and is underestimated by others, despite his profound intelligence. Nietzsche echoes this idea in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, stating, "What has value in itself does not need applause, but the world believes more in brilliance than in essence." Like Machiavelli, Nietzsche recognized the human difficulty in seeing beyond the superficial, reinforcing that appearance is not trivial but an inherent part of human relationships. Practical applications. For the good guys, this means projecting strength and confidence to align external perception with internal value. In everyday situations, such as interviews, negotiations, or social encounters, posture, attire, and tone of voice convey respect before any words are spoken. The halo effect, a concept by psychologist Edward Thorndike, also highlights this. Positive perceptions of one trait, such as charisma or appearance, lead to assumptions of other qualities. For example, confident leaders are seen as more competent, even without evidence. Recognizing this dynamic can transform how you navigate the world. Appearance is a fundamental piece of the social puzzle. To thrive, one must balance self-confidence and authenticity, ensuring that internal value shines through external perception. Third lesson, the art of adaptation. Machiavelli explores the need to adapt to circumstances, stating, "He who adapts his conduct to the nature of the times will succeed. He who does not will be destroyed." This lesson reveals an essential and relentless truth. The world is constantly changing, and those who insist on rigidity will inevitably be left behind. For idealists, this idea may seem uncomfortable, as it challenges the notion that immutable values are sufficient to guarantee success and harmony. However, adaptation is not about abandoning morality but recognizing the context and adjusting strategies without compromising essential principles. Literature and adaptation. In Victor Hugo's Les Miserables, Jean Valjean begins hardened by injustice but adapts to circumstances, transforming into a symbol of compassion and redemption. He understands that surviving and doing good require flexibility. Similarly, in Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus exemplifies the art of adaptation. He faces cyclopes, resists sirens, and navigates unknown seas, relying not only on strength but on cunning shaped by each challenge. Philosophy and adaptation. Philosophers also echo this lesson. Heraclitus declared, "Nothing is permanent except change." He believed that wisdom lies in accepting the flow of life, navigating its currents rather than resisting them. Confucius reinforced this. The wise man adjusts his conduct to the demands of the moment. For him, flexibility was strength, a path to harmony and success. Modern applications. In everyday life, the art of adaptation is evident. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many reinvented themselves, mastering remote work or learning new skills. This agility was crucial for thriving in uncertain times. In social settings, empathetic and flexible people build stronger bonds by adjusting their words and actions to others' needs, creating genuine connections. Even for the kind-hearted, adaptation is key to balancing kindness and effectiveness. Being firm when necessary, adjusting to the context without betraying principles, and finding creative ways to achieve goals are essential. As we explore Machiavelli, it becomes clear that adaptation is indispensable for navigating life's complexities. However, to be effective, it must be guided by a deep understanding of power and discernment. Fourth lesson, the power to inspire respect over love. Machiavelli argues that it is safer to inspire respect, even if mixed with a touch of fear, than to depend on the love of others. For him, love is fickle, subject to changes in mood and interest, while respect, once earned, is harder to shake. He states, "Men hesitate less to offend someone who makes himself loved than someone who makes himself feared." This is not a call to cruelty but a warning about the fragility of love as a basis for power. Respect, on the other hand, creates a psychological barrier that inhibits disloyalty or betrayal. Philosophy and respect. Machiavelli's concept of respect resonates with Kant's philosophy, which saw respect as a moral foundation for human interactions. Kant argued that respect for oneself and others is fundamental for social balance. However, Machiavelli goes further. For him, respect must be a tool of power, something earned through concrete actions and effective strategies. Neuroscience and respect. From a neuroscientific perspective, respect is linked to the activation of neural circuits associated with trust and security. A study published in Nature Human Behavior suggests that people who inspire respect reduce the activation of the amygdala, a brain region linked to fear in conflict situations. This means that inspiring respect not only improves how others perceive you but also creates a more stable and predictable psychological environment. On the other hand, the relentless pursuit of love activates brain areas linked to reward, such as the ventral striatum. When love is not reciprocated or recognized, these areas can enter a state of deprivation, leading to impulsive and harmful behaviors. Practical applications. In the workplace, the difference between love and respect is clear. A boss who tries to be friends with everyone may struggle to impose authority or make tough decisions. A respected boss, even if not the most loved, leads efficiently because their demeanor inspires confidence and professionalism. In personal relationships, respect creates a solid foundation for mutual trust, allowing people to express opinions and boundaries without fear of being devalued or ignored. This lesson from Machiavelli challenges the notion that being loved is the ultimate ideal. It invites us to reflect on the importance of inspiring respect, which strengthens relationships and protects us from the emotional fragility of depending exclusively on others' affection. Ultimately, the choice is not between respect and love but how to balance both, prioritizing what offers stability and longevity to our interactions and personal power. The 4 lessons of Machiavelli. Machiavelli's 4 lessons challenge us to rethink kindness, leadership, and human nature through a raw but practical lens. They do not deny ethical values or empathy but balance them with a strategic approach to life. The first lesson reminds us that in a repetitive world, perception often surpasses truth. Recognizing the need to shape how we are seen is not manipulation, it is survival. This does not mean abandoning authenticity but communicating intentions in a way that inspires trust and authority. The second lesson highlights the discernment between the desirable and the necessary. Prudence is the key to effective leadership, whether in personal or professional life. Choosing the right battles, accepting that not everything is under control, and acting with calculation are pillars of a more stable and meaningful life. The third lesson breaks with the ideal of pleasing everyone as a virtue. Machiavelli shows that respect, even with a touch of fear, builds solid and less volatile relationships than superficial love. Inspiring respect is not about being cruel but setting boundaries and demonstrating competence with firmness. The fourth lesson challenges excessive kindness, which often becomes vulnerability. Being good is not about being naive. It is about aligning kindness with strategic intelligence to avoid being exploited or underestimated. The combination of compassion and strength defines those prepared to face challenges. Machiavelli was not an advocate of evil or manipulation but an astute observer of human nature and power dynamics, offering controversial yet useful lessons. Applying these lessons to daily life does not mean abandoning kindness or moral values but using them strategically to navigate the world better. As he said, "Men forget more quickly the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony." This phrase, however harsh, reminds us of the importance of understanding human motivations and acting with intelligence. By balancing kindness, strategy, and power, we can thrive in a world where naivety is weakness. Machiavelli's legacy does not teach us how to be but how to be wise. This wisdom, applied correctly, transforms lives and helps us start the year with purpose and resilience.